U.S. immigration just took a major turn. What's changing in September 2025? Whether you're an international student, a skilled worker, an asylum seeker, or already holding a green card, the rules just changed. And in ways many didn't see coming. In September 2025, multiple announcements, actions, and decisions have reshaped the landscape. From surveillance of online speech to the arming of USCIS officers, this isn't just another policy update, it's a shift in power and perception. The U.S. immigration system is evolving into something more aggressive, more investigative, and far more political. Let's dive into every change now active or underway. Values now matter, and they're being investigated. One of the most controversial changes involves the idea of anti-American views being used to judge green card or citizenship eligibility. This is now official USCIS guidance. Officers are now instructed to review whether an applicant promotes or supports narratives deemed hostile to the United States, especially those linked to hate speech, terrorism, or extremist ideology. If your online activity or protest participation connects you to violent or radical groups, even indirectly, your application may now face denial, delay, or investigation. This doesn't mean every activist or critic is in danger. But if your political activity crosses the line into promoting harm, violence, or institutional collapse, it will count against you. Director Joseph Edlow clarified that criticism of the government or a political leader is not disqualifying, but promoting destruction or hate is a red flag that will now be taken seriously. Digital footprint audits have quietly begun. USCIS has confirmed that social media and online activity are now fair game during vetting. What used to be a gray area has now been written into practice. Applicants are being assessed not just on what they formally submit, but also on what they post publicly. That includes Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and even public Telegram channels. Officers may review a combination of posts, likes, group affiliations, shares, and event participation. It's not about one-off activity, it's about long-term digital patterns and ideological alignment. Edlow stated that this is not about controlling speech, but about understanding values. He compared it to background checks, only now the background includes your digital life. If your social media shows patterns of hate speech, anti-Semitism, or support for violence, it can be flagged. This can affect family petitions, employment-based cases, and naturalization applications alike. USCIS officers are now armed and operational. This might be the most symbolic shift of all. USCIS has launched a law enforcement division within its own ranks, and these officers will carry weapons. This marks a fundamental change in how the agency operates. USCIS is no longer just processing applications. It is now actively investigating immigration fraud and conducting arrests through its own armed personnel. These officers will focus primarily on large-scale immigration fraud. That includes fake marriages, fraudulent asylum claims, and organized scams involving work visas or humanitarian programs. They are not patrolling neighborhoods or conducting street raids like ICE. But they are authorized to enter premises, execute warrants, and detain suspects involved in criminal immigration activity. For applicants, this creates a new layer of accountability. If you submit false information or are part of an exploitative scheme, you may now face consequences faster, and more directly, than ever before. Citizenship process may soon get more difficult. Naturalization is also being reconsidered. USCIS is reviewing plans to revert to the 2020 version of the civics test, one that many considered significantly harder and more nuanced. The 2020 version required not just memorization but real comprehension of historical context and constitutional meaning. It had more questions, less flexibility, and a higher failure rate for first-time test takers. Now, Edlow says USCIS may go even further, including written essays in English and stricter language testing to better measure whether a person understands core American values. The agency believes the current format is too simple and allows individuals to pass without fully understanding the civic responsibilities of being a U.S. citizen. This proposal isn't final, yet, but it reflects the agency's direction. If passed, new citizens will face more complex written and oral tests as early as 2026. International students are back in the crosshairs. For years, F-1 visa holders have relied on optional practical training, or OPT, to gain post-study work experience. But this program is once again under heavy review. There are currently over 240,000 international students using OPT in the U.S., many with STEM degrees that allow up to 3 years of work authorization. But Edlow has expressed concerns that companies are exploiting the program to avoid hiring American workers, particularly in high-demand sectors like IT, data science, and AI. While no formal policy changes have been enacted, enforcement has already begun tightening. USCIS is increasing compliance checks, including wage verification, job alignment, and field of study relevance. If you're on OPT, be prepared for more scrutiny. The margin for error is narrowing, and companies hiring you must now prove there is no displacement of U.S. workers. H-1B oversight has intensified. The H-1B program has always been a political lightning rod, and now in 2025, it's facing new restrictions, not by law, but by enforcement pressure. EDLO has stated that the program is enabling companies to hire experienced foreign workers at lower wages, undercutting local talent and distorting fair competition. This means USCIS is now taking a deeper look at every H-1B petition. They are cross-checking labor condition applications, LCAs, verifying wage levels, and ensuring that job duties match the filed documentation. Mismatches, vague descriptions, or misleading salary structures are more likely than ever to result in requests for evidence, delays, or outright denials. If you're an H-1B worker, keep your employment documents updated. Even small inconsistencies can now trigger larger investigations, especially in the tech, research, and engineering sectors. USCIS now assisting states in voter eligibility checks. In a development with major implications, USCIS is partnering with state governments to help verify voter eligibility using immigration records, including through the SAVE database. This means states can now check if someone is a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident by submitting their social security data for verification. Supporters argue this helps combat voter fraud. Critics warn that it could lead to wrongful purges, data misuse, and racial profiling, especially for naturalized citizens with recent name or address changes. This will likely be tested during the 2026 and 2028 elections, where immigration data will be used more broadly to influence voter rolls and political participation. Naturalized citizens should ensure their status is properly recorded across all government agencies to avoid errors or disqualification. ICE raids return to Los Angeles after Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court has ruled that ICE can resume broad stop-and-search operations in Los Angeles, lifting previous legal restrictions. Under this ruling, ICE agents can now use common-sense factors like language, clothing, location, or occupation to justify immigration stops, a decision that has civil rights groups alarmed. This ruling passed in a 6-3 decision and is expected to impact communities in Los Angeles, San Diego, and potentially other immigrant-dense cities. Justice Sotomayor warned that this would lead to racial profiling, especially of Latinos in low-wage industries like construction, delivery, and agriculture. If you're in affected areas, make sure to carry valid documentation, know your rights, and avoid high-risk zones unless necessary. Encounters are expected to increase immediately. ICE conducts record-breaking raid at Hyundai, LG plant. In early September, ICE launched the largest single-site immigration raid in U.S. history, targeting a Hyundai, LG EV battery plant in Georgia. Officials detained over 475 workers, including more than 300 South Koreans, with others from Japan, China, and Indonesia. Most were reportedly on B-1 business visas, which do not allow manual labor. This raid has triggered diplomatic fallout between the U.S. and South Korea, its sixth-largest trade partner. Industry leaders warn it could impact supply chains and worker availability in key manufacturing sectors. This marks a new era of enforcement where even large corporate partners may come under investigation, and it sends a chilling message across the skilled foreign labor market. Deportation forecast: U.S. population set to shrink. According to the Congressional Budget Office, Trump's immigration plan could lead to over 320,000 deportations and reduce population growth by 4.5 million by 2035. With declining birth rates and slower immigration, the U.S. is projected to face labor shortages in critical sectors, including construction, logistics, and caregiving. Economists warn this could push grocery prices higher, delay housing projects, and reduce GDP growth. The administration counters by proposing a baby boom strategy, but early data shows no impact yet. The real-world effects of this population shift will begin showing in just a few years, with immigration policy at the center of the economic debate. Final thoughts: the new immigration reality has arrived. September 2025 marks a turning point in U.S. immigration. From online speech to armed enforcement, from student visas to citizenship tests, the system is tightening across every layer. You can no longer afford to ignore what you say, what you post, and how you document your life. Every application, every interview, every background check is now more personal than ever. For some, this will be a wake-up call. For others, a sign to move faster while pathways are still open. Either way, the game has changed. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.